My name is William Beshears. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Salinas Elementary in San Bernardino City Unified School District, about an hour outside of Los Angeles.
What did you do on your fellowship?
I did a few things. Primarily, I recorded oral histories, folk tales, and fairy tales throughout southern and middle Ireland.
And then kind of expand on that. What did you do while you did that?
Well, the idea was to have my kids ultimately create movies about their own histories and their own cultures. For example, a lot of my kids are Latino, so the story of La Llorona, the Weeping Woman, is a very common folk tale, but I rarely see it in books. Local heroes and things like that. So having the kids create curriculum and also take ownership of curriculum and be agents of curriculum and histories within their own community. I used Ireland as an example because it's very rich in culture. And a lot of American culture actually comes from Irish culture.
And so what did you do in Ireland?
Traveled about, made contacts beforehand, tried to prepare as much as possible by researching folk tales, tried to come up with areas that I wanted to look at, but I really went with what I thought was the best stories for the kids and for the families, something that would really resonate with the kids. Luckily, Ireland has a great many excellent storytellers, and a lot of the stories connect. So a lot of the research was actually connecting it back to the United States. So I'd find a storyteller, hang out with them for a bit, and they would have pre-prepared stories. And they were actually very, very good at it because they could deliver the stories amazingly. And I just recorded it from fairy tales to ghost stories. I'd visit the original sites, hear about the ghost stories, have them point out where the ghost has been or where, how the ghost was made, basically, to say it nicely. And, their local towns and what have you.
And then how did that impact your students back in California?
It's still impacting them. It's a very long process. We have the technological component where, it's great because I have to learn what the kids have to learn. And that's really the best way to teach. Teachers aren't necessarily masters of any particular area of knowledge in as much as they are excellent students. So our failures help us teach, for example. So I had to learn how to use the same camera that's being used right now, use the money, figure out how to question people, how to cut it up, and then go back and have the kids do it. And have the kids develop what they want to do. At this phase, they're making little mini movies, and also we're working on a website, so they upload the movies to the website, walkingnarrative.com, and hopefully we'll move into the stage where they develop movies and actually have people tell the folk tales, or the kids tell the folk tales, or however it develops, and then begin a dialogue between at least these two cultures, because we can easily load it up on YouTube and people will watch, and then it can connect to our website, and of course funforteachers.com, and sort of create a swirl of information and buzz that brings everybody into this conversation, and hopefully other students will pitch in. It'll sort of get a life of its own.
How did your Fun for Teachers grant change your teaching?
It empowers the teacher. A lot of stuff is very much connected to, what are you doing specifically? This is how it's done. It's almost like an applied, this is how you're going to learn. Fun for Teachers is very liberating in that they trust the teacher. They trust us to find our own personal goal. And one core belief I have about teaching is that there is no one type of teacher. I cannot be as good as, Eric, for example. He just has a different teaching style. He has a different history. He has different passions. And that's one of the beauties of teaching is each person is an individual, and teaching is an extension of yourself. And the only true way to prepare to be a teacher is to develop that part of yourself. And making your own grant, having the flexibility to make your own grant, and following through and meeting these goals, and accepting the fact that life is going to change, just like the classroom changes, just like our families are different and they change, and just like how we hope our kids will change. It puts you in a position to really get the most out of the situation, and in a way that can't be measured with any type of assessment. Although, you see growth in kids, don't get me wrong, but the true growth is the growth of the person. And once the person grows, once you get a passion, once you get an understanding, and once you get the development of that student, everything else follows. You know, it's that passion that causes somebody to want to make a difference in law. And then what follows is they understand the logic, the math, the reading and writing that goes with it. But it's the passion that makes the person and the student. And that's actually, quite honestly, that's what's lacking in everybody's assessment of education these days. So Fund for Teachers is just phenomenal in that it found a way to actually connect money to teachers and to empower them and to allow us to do what we need to do to get the job done.
What would you tell a teacher who's considering applying for a Fund for Teachers grant?
I tell teachers all the time to consider applying. I know it might be scary, or it feels scary, and it's a new experience. But we should honestly be what we ask our kids to be, risk takers. We ask our kids to take risks. If they never speak, we ask them to speak. If they get frustrated in math, we ask them to take a step back and deal with it. How can we teach a kid these skills if we ourselves don't take them? And it's not really a big risk. I mean, everything's laid out for you. If you want to go to Ireland, it's easy. Everybody's nice. I mean, it's far different than the United States, and I've traveled the world quite a few times. Everybody's usually nice. They help you out no matter what the language. There's tour books, there's guidebooks, there's us, you know, the alumni are there to help you with working through all the phases of your proposal and actually organizing it. And you honestly do need to accept the fact that you need to be flexible. That's how you get invited into somebody's house and make lifelong friends. You know, you're gonna get hotel rooms and work this out and work that out, but you also need to be flexible enough to say, hey, I heard this great story and it's gonna take me on this little adventure, and that's gonna be what I'm gonna bring back to the kids. That's gonna be the passion, and they're gonna take that little adventure. Because a lot of my kids are very much, you know, our neighborhood is very much inner city, a lot of gang activity in our district, a lot of teen pregnancy. We're very close to universities, but our kids don't go. And they're taking huge risks that we just assume are not risks. When Fund for Teachers, applying for it is actually the opposite. It might appear like a huge risk, but it really isn't. It's really cake, actually. it's pretty ideal. And I've done a lot of grants and things like that, and this one's the best one I could think of.